Hello YouTube, welcome back to Underleveled in the Kitchen. Today we'll be making our favorite Hisuian treat, Potato Mochi from Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's super easy, so let's get started. So Potato Mochi or Imo Mochi is a traditional dish from Hokkaido, Japan, which is absolutely fitting since the Sinnoh/Hisui region is based off Hokkaido. This is a super easy dish to make and it only uses a handful of ingredients. Also, what's awesome is that it's also vegan friendly, so everyone can enjoy the sweet and salty potatoey goodness. But let's get right into it. So first I'll go over how to make the potato mochi, and then Kat will go over how to make the Mitarashi sauce. It's a sweet and salty glaze that goes on top of the finished mochi. Now, for the potato mochi, we only really need 3 ingredients. Our favorite chef Beni's secret is that he uses quality sweetfoot root. Well, I couldn't find any, so we'll be using the next best thing, Yukon Gold potatoes. Just trust me on this, it'll be fine. I'll be using 2 Yukon Gold potatoes. Now, I highly suggest using Yukon Gold potatoes over russet potatoes because Yukon Gold potatoes, they have a higher water content, which will allow it to hold its shape better instead of just crumbling apart. Red potatoes would also work, but just keep in mind that they have an even higher water content than Yukon Gold potatoes. So russet potatoes have too little water, red potatoes have too much water, but the Yukon Golds are just right. Okay, moving on. Next, you will need 2 tablespoons of katakuriko or potato starch. Now, if you can't find potato starch, then you can use cornstarch instead, but try to get the good stuff. The general rule of thumb is 1 tablespoon of katakuriko to 1 Yukon Gold potato. But once you have your 2 washed potatoes, grab a fork and carefully poke some holes all around the potato. You can use this time to get out any frustration that might plague your mind. Just don't take it out on your hand. Again, be careful. Then wrap your punctured potatoes in a damp paper towel and stick them in the microwave for about 4 minutes or until tender. Your cooking time will vary depending on the strength of your microwave and the size of your potatoes. Now, if you want to keep it to traditional Hisuian methods, then you can boil the potatoes. Ooh, watch out, they're really hot. But that looks just about right. But now that our potatoes are cooked, we're going to set them aside and let them cool completely.
Okay, my turn. While the potatoes are cooling down, I'll go over how to make the Mitarashi sauce that will go over the potato mochi. Don't worry, it'll be super easy. You will need sugar, soy sauce, mirin, which is a sweet rice wine, katakuriko or potato starch. If you can't find potato starch, you can substitute cornstarch instead, and water. So grab a small bowl and add 1 tablespoon of sugar. If you want it to be more sweet than savory, feel free to add an extra tablespoon of sugar. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of mirin. Give it a good mix and then set it aside. Then add 2 teaspoons of potato starch to 3 tablespoons of water and mix them together. This will be used to thicken our sauce. Now let's head to the stove and start cooking our Mitarashi sauce. Add your sugar, soy sauce, and mirin mixture to a pan on medium heat and slowly bring it to a simmer. Once it starts to simmer, add the starchy potato water and stir until the sauce thickens up. Feel free to add more or less potato starch if you want your sauce thicker or thinner. It's all personal preference, but we like it around this consistency. But now we're just gonna set this aside. It smells so good.
It does smell really good. But now that our potatoes are fully cooled down, we can now peel and cut them into small chunks. With our cut up potatoes in a bowl, grab your favorite potato masher and start mashing them until they're silky smooth. Not only are you mashing potatoes, but you're also getting a pretty good workout. And they say that this is how the Galaxy Team Survey Corps works out their Pokeball throwing arm.
Who said that?
I don't know, people? Anyways, once the potatoes are well mashed, add 2 tablespoons of potato starch and mix by hand. This is where waiting for it to completely cool down is so important, not only to spare the skin on your hands, but because if the potatoes were still hot, the potato starch would make it very sticky. But once it comes together kind of like this, it's time to form our mochi. I like to keep a small bowl of water so that I can keep my hands very slightly damp to prevent the mochi from cracking. But just slightly damp. If you add too much water, your potato mochi will become too soft and just fall apart. I first like to form them into a little ball and then flatten them down to make a little delicious potato disc. Okay, now it's time to cook them. We will need 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I like to add half of the oil into a nice non-stick pan and set it to medium-high heat. Then gently add your potato mochi in and cook them until one side is nice and golden brown. And after I flip them, then I like to add the second half of the oil and cook them on the other side until it's also brown and crispy. Then remove the mochi and let the oil drain off of them. Now we're gonna bring back our sauce that Cat made and slowly heat it back up. Then we're gonna place our potato mochi in the sauce and give them a good coat. You can also spoon some sauce over the top as well, but remember, serve this immediately. It's best when it's fresh. And you're done. That's how you make Pokemon Legends Arceus Hisuian Potato Mochi. But let's see how we did, shall we? Let's call Kat over so she can have a taste as well.
The Mitarashi sauce is savory with a subtle sweet finish.
The texture is amazing. It's crunchy on the outside and silky smooth on the inside. It has more of a chew than just potato dumplings.
The sauce gets super messy, so don't be afraid to lick your fingers.
And if you want to get really fancy, then you can wrap a piece of nori or dried seaweed around it.
I really like the ones with the nori wrapped around them because it's kind of like a little tiny edible oven mitt because they're really hot fresh out of the pan. Ugh, almost dropped it.
But these are best to eat when they're fresh and they still have that crispy crunch to them instead of being all sad and cold and they just turn into this gelatinous blob. Now, if you're not going to eat them right away, what you can do is before you put the sauce on top, you can pop them in the fridge, and when you are ready to eat them, you can just stick them in the toaster and get them all warm and crispy again before adding your Mitarashi sauce on top.
But we hope you enjoyed this episode of Underleveled in the Kitchen. If you did, then don't forget to hit that like button, as well as subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications for more video game related cooking. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.